How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Combat Tips. Keeping with the theme of showing off some of these DLC characters lately, today's tutorial is of course going to be featuring that of Spawn. As I've said previously, this video and all future videos will be getting uploaded to my ProtoPlay channel, so do feel free to check that out in the link down below. It's a really good way for me to essentially upload, share, and archive my videos, especially with YouTube's ever-changing terms of services. So if you want to help me out and help out the company who was nice enough to reach out to me, just feel free to check it out down below. Costs nothing but a little bit of your time. As you would expect, folks, if you want to hop down to either the description or the comments down below, you can find timestamps that let you skip to any of the brutalities I feature in today's video. Furthermore, if the buttons or inputs I say in today's video don't entirely make sense to your controller, feel free to use this little input guide right here that'll allow you to convert whatever I say onto any platform currently hosting Mortal Kombat 11. So let's hop right on over to the cosmetic screen to show you guys that as of this video's release date, I do have all 24 out of 24 finishers for Spawn, which means today's video is going to be featuring a hefty 10 brutalities. Naturally, we're going to be kicking it off with the Classic, but like I said, folks, if you want to hop on down to either the description or the comments, you can find timestamps to let you skip to any of the brutalities I feature in today's video. Let's get started. So the Classic, who doesn't know the Classic at this point, right? But just in case you need a refresher or don't happen to know it at all, we'll go over it. So first off, you want to finish your opponent with an uppercut, and that is either going to be down Y or down triangle. Now, two things to keep in mind when you go to perform this brutality. When you're doing that uppercut, you want to either hold Y or triangle, which happens to be, of course, the same button you activate the uppercut with, so if you choose, just hold on to that uppercut. Don't take your finger off when you perform it. And next up, you want to make sure you do not block an attack during the final round, okay? So the final round, just to clarify, is either round 2 or 3, whichever you as a player are going to be victorious on, okay? So it's your final round, not strictly round 3, but it can also be round 2 if you're going to win on round 2. Alright, so let's hop in and give you an example now. So an uppercut, simple, classic, effective. Down Y, down triangle, like so, and boom, you get him with that cape smack. So just to clarify, here we are on round 2, and this is going to be my victorious round. But when it says do not block an attack during your final round, and again, this is my final round, you can, if you accidentally, but try not to do it, but if you accidentally hit your R2 button or your respective block button, right trigger perhaps, it's okay, as long as you don't take damage while it's happening. As you can see, I've pushed it multiple times now, but we'll still be able to do this brutality because I haven't actually taken damage. So I'm not suggesting you block, but what I'm saying is if you accidentally, boom, hit that trigger, it's okay. Alright folks, let's move in for that final strike. Remember, just finish your opponent with an uppercut, down Y or down triangle, and just make sure to hold the respective Y or triangle button while you're doing that. And yeah, just don't take any damage during the final round. If you're reflexive like me and just kind of, oops, hit it like that, that's alright if you don't take any damage, but let's move in. Down Y, down triangle, and boom. That is the Classic. What else can we expect? Good old uppercut. On to the next one. Alrighty, so next up is the Speared Brutality. Now this one's going to require that you finish your opponent with a towards throw, and while that's happening, you want to push forward 3 times, alright? So a towards throw, push forward 3 times during that animation. Let's give you an example. So by default, L1, left button, you can do a throw, but as you can see, this is a back throw. So in order to do a forward throw, you want to be moving towards the opponent and then push that respective button. And as you can see, if you get this particular animation with all the swords and weapons, that is the appropriate towards throw. One more time, just make sure you're moving forwards in the direction of your opponent, push that when you do the grab button, and there you have it. That is your towards throw. As I've said, if you prefer arcade style throws, you can do square and X at the same time, or X and A, of course, depending on your respective controller. And again, just move towards your opponent, hit both buttons at the same time, and as you can see, you will still get your throw. Let's move in for that final strike, folks. All you gotta use is a towards throw and push forward 3 times, though if you ask me, I'm just gonna spam it for the safety of it. So let's go. Towards throw, spamming that forward. Oof. And there we go, folks. Oh. It's a nice two-parter. First you get the impaling of the head, and then the complete, well, it's not even a complete decapitation, it's more at the mouth, which is kind of all the more gruesome. I don't know. But there we have it, folks. Let's move on to our next one. So next up is the Severed Spine Brutality, and this one is only going to require that you perform a back throw, and while that is happening, either mash the X and Y buttons or the square and triangle buttons. Alright, so let's hop in and give you an example. So as we showcased with the last brutality, a throw, super simple, just tap L1 or left bumper and you should get, in this case, our back throw by default. Boom, there it is. Again, arcade inputs if you prefer for a throw, X and A or square and X, and boom, there's your throw. Pop. As I've said in previous tutorials, folks, when it comes to mashing either X and Y or square and triangles, I like to take these two fingers, boom, put them on the respective buttons, and just pop. Beat them like so. So let's move in for the final strike, folks. Again, just use a back throw, and while that is happening, either mash square and triangle or X and Y. I'll adjust like this so you guys can see, and here we go. Boom, and I'm just mashing these two like so. Oh. This definitely has Scorpion vibes, if you ask me, or even Sub-Zero in its own essence. It seems very classically inspired, you know what I mean? With the good old spinal rip. But on to the next one, folks. So next up is the Shredded Brutality, and it's going to require that you have the Blaze of Glory ability, so do make sure that's good to go if you want to perform this one. As for the actual execution of the ability, you want to make sure that your final hit comes from an amplified Blaze of Glory, and while that happens, hold down. Let's hop in. So by default, the Blaze of Glory should be down back X or down back square, and it'll look like that right there. We're of course going to be using the amplified version of this ability, which means after you put in a down back X or down back square, you want to push either right button or R1 respectively, and you should get boom and boom, that right there. So let's move in for the kill, folks. Again, just finish your opponent with an amplified Blaze of Glory and hold down during that animation. Let's go for it. Boom and boom. What can I say? It's a really good use of his, dual wielding of those automatic weapons and just kind of shredding through that body. Poof. On to the next one. Lost Soul is the name of our next brutality, and this one's going to require that you finish your opponent with an amplified Necroblast. And when that happens, you want to make sure you are some distance away from the opponent. If you ask me, that's about medium distance, and I'll show you how to gauge that in a moment. And while that final hit is happening as well, make sure to hold backwards. Alright, let's give you an example right now. So the Necroblast is back forward X or back forward square, and it should look boom, just like that. Once again, though, we want to be using an amplified variation of this move, so hit either right button or R1 after you've put in that input, and you should get boom, that second shot right there. One more time, boom, and boom. That's what we're looking for. For those who want to gauge what some distance away is, or in my case, medium distance, I usually say 2 back dashes should be well enough, and that is back, 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 back. As you can see, 1, 2, and that should be a perfect distance to get this brutality off. So here we go, folks. Again, you want to use an amplified Necroblast, and while that is happening, hold backwards. Alright, let's go for it. Boom. Oh! And there we go. Rather explosive, ain't it? On to the next one. Next up is the 2 Hell Brutality, and this is going to require that you perform an amplified, soul-shattering War Club on your opponent, and while that animation's playing out, you want to hold up. So the War Club, folks, that's going to be back forward A or back forward X, and it'll look just like boom and boom, that right there. This is yet another amplified brutality, so after you've put in back forward A or back forward X, make sure to tap right button or R1 to enhance the ability. Here we go. Boom. And boom. If you get that explosion up in the air, you know you're doing this right. One more time. Boom. And boom. That's what we're looking for. So I think it's time to send Scorpion back to the Nether, folks. Remember, you want to finish your opponent with an amplified, soul-shattering War Club, and while that is happening, hold up. Let's go for it. Boom. Boom. I like that this is not... I mean, it is very gory, don't get me wrong, but I like it has that, essence of green energy that comes with Spawn, especially like the way it kind of burns the skeleton afterwards and leaves it behind. I don't know. It's a nice little feature that, again, has an essence of Spawn. On to the next one. Next up is the Headcase Brutality, and this one's going to require that you have the lethal Letha stance in your arsenal. Do make sure that's good to go, because it is very vital for performing this one properly. Once that move is good to go and you go to finish your opponent, you want to make sure that the final hit comes from low hell chains, and while that animation is playing out, make sure to hold forward. Alright, let me give you an example right now. So the lethal Letha stance, like many other stances in this game, after you set it up, will allow you to perform a couple different moves. Now by default, it is down back B or down back circle, and if you perform that, you will get, boom, that right there. Now this ability can be extended if you decide to hold either B or circle after performing it, like so. And there we have it, and once you release, boom, you can launch it like that. We, however, want the low hell chains variation of said stance, so what we're going to do is get into that stance and extend it, like so, push down, and then release B or circle. And as you can see, we get the low hell chains. So one more time, let me show you that. Get into the stance, make sure to hold the button, push down, and then release. And as you can see, that'll give you the low hell chains. Naturally, once you get the hang of this, you can usually go boom, boom, and bust it out super quick, and it won't become a problem after that. Just kind of get used to getting into that stance, holding down, and then releasing A, and you shouldn't have an issue. There we have it. So let's finish off our opponent, folks. Again, remember, lethal Letha stance, transitioning into the low hell chains, and after you have that animation playing out, make sure to hold forward. Let's go for it. Down, holding forward. Oh, there we go. Very stylish. I really like this one. It's, I don't know, just the fact that he, holds him up with the chain, pulls out the gun, and boom. I know you guys just watched it, but it's very stylish. I like it a lot, and again, it fits that super interesting kind of persona that is Spawn. Next up we have the Severed Brutality, and this one's going to require that you have the Charging Hellspawn ability in your arsenal, so as usual, do make sure that's good and set up before we proceed. Now if you're going to attempt this brutality, you want to make sure that you have at least 40% or more of your HP remaining, otherwise it just simply will not work. Beyond that, however, you want to make sure you finish your opponent with an amplified Charging Hellspawn, and while that's happening, make sure to hold forward. Let's give you an example right now. So the Charging Hellspawn, back forward A, back forward X, and it should look, boom, just like that. This is yet another amplified brutality, folks, so remember, after you have done back forward A or back forward X, you tap right button or R1, and it should look, boom, just like that. You want that weapon area to be coming out of those portals there. Perfect. Just as a visual indicator, you folks can see right up here on the health bar, this middle notch is the 50% mark, and the notch just below that is the 40% mark. So as long as your health is above that 40% notch, you're good to perform this brutality. So let's move in for that finisher, folks. Remember, you gotta have 40% or more HP, then you wanna finish your opponent with a amplified Charging Hellspawn and hold forward during that animation. Let's go for it. Boom. Oh, very stylish. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read too many Spawn comics, I admit, but I did not expect so much flair and style to be coming out of some of Spawn's moves in this game. I really like them, but on to the next one. Next up is the Chain Reaction Brutality, and this one is going to require that you have the Hell Chain ability, so as usual, make sure that's good to go. Performing the brutality requires that your final hit comes from an amplified Hell Chain, and while that's happening, hold backwards. Alright, example time. So starting off with just the Hell Chain that is back forward Y or back forward triangle, and it should look, oof, just like that. Naturally, after back forward Y or back forward triangle, you're going to want to push R1 or right button to enhance this ability, and that should look, boom, just like that. Additionally, if you want to be a little bit sneaky, when you amplify this ability, don't let go of R1 or right button, and as you can see, boom, you can go invisible and potentially use this to your advantage. So let's move in for that final strike, folks. Remember, you want to do an amplified Hell Chain, and while that animation's playing out, hold backwards. Let's go for it. Oh, gnarly. You know, this is definitely not my favorite of them all, though I do like that that chain was incorporated for brutality. I kind of wish it went a little more crazy, like Sindel kind of does with some of her abilities, but let me not get too into it. It's still a great brutality. On to the next one. Last but certainly not least for today is the Hell's Hand Brutality. Now this is going to require that you finish your opponent with the Unholy Veil ability, and while that animation is playing out, you're going to want to push down 3 times very quickly, or if you ask me, as you guys have probably heard me say in previous tutorials, when it comes to any of these directional inputs, just spam it. Spam down for this one. It'll just help you get it all the more easier. So the Unholy Veil is going to be back forward Y or back forward triangle, and it should look like boom. Oh, that right there. If you so choose, you can hold Y or triangle to kind of delay this move and potentially trick your enemy. Like so. And for some of you more advanced players, if you push down while this move is charging, boom, you can cancel it at the cost of 1 defensive gauge. Moving in for the final hit here, folks. Remember, just finish the opponent with the Unholy Veil. That is back forward Y, back forward triangle, and while that animation is playing out, spam the down direction. Just spam it. Here we go. Back forward Y. Oh. Way to end on a high note, huh? That's definitely a really good one, and I love the way it uses his cape to allow him to glide and smash. It's already such a brutal move on its own, but just to end it in brutality form, whew, love it. Naturally, that is it for today, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot, and as I always say, I can't say it enough. It's great to do these brutality tutorials because I always get to showcase the brutalities to you guys, teach them to you guys, but I also get to see some of the ones that I might have not seen myself because I don't always play all of these variations or characters, stuff like that. Remember that this video and all future videos will be going onto my ProtoPlay channel, so if you want to check that out, it would mean a lot to me. Shouldn't cost anything but a little bit of your time, but even that is of great value to me, so thank you so much. As per usual, folks, if you did enjoy this video, feel free to leave me feedback down below, either in the form of a like or a comment, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can find out exactly when more content like this goes live. That's going to do it for today, folks, but as always, again, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, I will catch you in the next tutorial, but until then, stay safe and stay happy. Adios.